So I think I might have found a unicorn. All right. So listen, this kid called 911 on his mom. Now, if you grew up like I grew up, we might have threatened it. We might have entertained it in our head. When we thought we poked our chest out and was big and bad, we might have said it to our parents. But I ain't never followed through. Never followed through, bro. My grandma always told me, go ahead, call them. Call them. You better hope they get here fast. You know what I'm saying? But this kid actually did it. So we're going to get into all the craziness, man. You know how this goes, right? Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
Hi.
Oh, it's the police. They came for real.
Yeah, we have to just come check, make sure everything's okay.
Hey, what you do?
Did you call the police?
Yeah.
Why?
I told my mommy to go to jail.
Why do you want mommy to go to jail?
Because I need her. Because her is being bad to me.
Why is she being bad to you?
Because her doing silly stuff to me.
What's she doing to you?
Or just keep on doing me.
She hate you, or is it because you didn't get ice cream yet?
I didn't get ice cream.
So is that why you're upset?
Yeah, that's why I didn't get no ice cream.
Oh, look at the little one.
No, it's so hard to yell at them.
A police, yeah.
So no calling 911 unless it's a real emergency, okay?
What do you call for? I ate his ice cream. You ate his ice cream?
Mommy has to go to jail.
Should we take her to jail for eating your ice cream?
Yes.
Yo, kids will betray you in a minute. They'll act like you ain't even bring them in the world. They act like you ain't even been taking care of them or nothing. You heard that little kid? Yes. Take her to jail. She ate my ice cream. She gotta go. Yo, this is crazy. I could never. My grandma 90 years old, she still put fear in me. You kidding me? I would call who? Nah, I ain't crazy.
It's time to speak up. This video is going to be a little bit longer than normal, but I think you guys need to hang on to the end because there's some really important information coming your way. I've been asked by multiple people, when did I think that we might need to be concerned about troops in our streets? And I've got a date for you. I've been waiting because it seems so crazy. I've been waiting to see if certain things happened before I said this, and certain things are happening that make me more convinced than ever that we need to be on our guard on or about April 20th and in the days and weeks right thereafter. Hang with me because I'm going to tell you why, and it'll make sense, and it won't sound like I'm just a crazy woman spewing things out. So on January the 20th, President Trump signed his executive order on immigration. Mm-hmm. And in that executive order, he said in 90 days from the date, which will be April 20th, that the Director of Homeland Security and the Secretary of Defense have to give a joint report to President Trump about how his immigration policy is going, how they're being able to enact his policy. And it says in there that they are specifically to consider whether additional things need to be done, including, and it mentions the Insurrection Act. Now, the Insurrection Act allows the president to send troops, our Army, our National Guards, to send them into the streets. This has happened before. This is not the first administration that has used the Insurrection Act, but this is the first administration who has ever used it in this manner, and one that has also shown such a blatant disregard for the Constitution. So on April 20th, the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security are going to go to President Trump, and they're going to talk about whether or not they think they need to institute the Insurrection Act to...
What this sound like to y'all? Because I can get in and tell you what it sounds like to me. It's about to be a purge. It's about to be a purge. You might need to have one of those things where your home locks down on April 20th or something. Be able to protect yourself. Because it's going to be the wild, wild west out in them streets, man. All right, that's exactly what it puts me in the mind of right now.
To implement his policies. The Insurrection Act is going to, I'm positive, is going to label anyone who is doing like the people in Boston and trying to fight for taking immigrants, people like me and many of you who are speaking out. Anyone that is going to be in any way opposition to this administration will be labeled an insurrectionist, and we will be dealt with as such. Arrests, I believe, will be imminent. People are also asking when to leave the country. I think if he follows the law, which is, I know, ridiculous, right? Before he institutes the Insurrection Act, he has to make some announcements that he's going to. If we hear that, we need to be aware that the borders are probably going to close pretty imminently. And so people...
Where are you going to go? Like, I'm convinced that some are making it to where anywhere you go, they already don't like you. You know what I mean? I know Canada keeps saying, hey, it's not y'all, it's him, but some people might not feel that way. I don't know. And then I don't know if you've noticed, the transportation to get to wherever you're going has been falling out the sky lately. You know, been falling out the sky. So,
people need to, it's not time to run right now. Things could still intervene, and I keep hoping that things will. But things are happening faster even than Project 2025 architects could have imagined. And that's why I feel like I need to give you guys this information now. While I could be still proven wrong, I would rather be proven wrong than to not have given you this information when you will have needed to make plans. I'm sorry. I wish I had something good to say for you today, but go out there and love your neighbor.
Until these tariffs are off the table, until the threat of tariffs is gone for good, Ontario will not relent. We will not back down. Pausing some tariffs, making last-minute exemptions, it won't cut it. We need to end the chaos once and for all. We need to sit down, work together, and land a fair deal. A deal that gives businesses the confidence to invest. A deal that gives workers the security they need and deserve. Until then, Ontario will keep up the fight. We will apply maximum pressure to maximize our leverage. That's why today we're moving forward with a 25% surcharge on electricity exports. For the 1.5 million American homes and businesses that Ontario powers, homes and businesses in Minnesota, Michigan, and New York.
That sucks.
This surcharge will cost families and businesses in these states up to $400,000 each and every single day. On an average, this will add around $100 per month to the bills of hardworking Americans.
That's ridiculous.
Let me be clear. I will not hesitate to increase this charge. If necessary, if the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely. Until these tariffs are off the...
Like, I don't know. I don't know where anybody else, how anybody else feels, but $100 is a lot of money. A lot of money that could be used for something else. And now all of a sudden you're telling me if I live in New York, Michigan, or wherever the other place was he said, now I have possibly an extra $100 on my electricity bill? Bro, especially when times are hard as they are now. Especially if you were one of those people who were just laid off. Now you got, man, listen. We are in some dark times, no pun intended.
The Marine standing over my left shoulder indicates that President Trump is inside the West Wing today, but we have not seen him here at the White House, which is notable given he has several events on his public schedule, but they have all remained closed to the press, as we are seeing the stock market and Wall Street have the steepest declines since 2025 started and since President Trump took office for his second term. That comes one day after he declined to rule out the fact that his policies could potentially lead to a recession here in the United States.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time.
Now, we heard from his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, who said he does not believe there is any chance of a recession, but the president was nowhere near as definitive as we've seen how his trade policies and his tariffs that he has threatened, implemented, pulled back on, or suspended at different times over the last several weeks have continued to really cause a lot of uncertainty in the business community. This comes as President Trump said he still believes in his tariff policy, and as he said during that same interview yesterday, those tariffs may go up. He doesn't expect them to go down. The Marine standing over my...
Have y'all looked at the market lately? It feels like we're in the recession right now. It feels like we're in it. And they always say, by the time you realize you're in a recession, you're on the way out. But right now, it feels like we're in it. Bro, stocks are plummeting continuously. Tesla, oh my gosh, bro. Elon better do something. What else? Apple dropped today substantially. It's been dropping. I didn't look at Nvidia. I looked at a few others, man, but you know, looking at your main ones, your Apples, your Nvidias, your Microsofts, your Teslas, your Googles, your you know what I mean, your Metas, and there's one more in the Mag 7 I'm missing right now, but they're down. And yes, these are times where wealth is created and transferred and all that stuff like that, but you can't jump in front of a falling knife at this moment because it has not stopped dropping. So yeah, this is bad. Ain't no way. So you telling me when I get my robot, it's gonna be able to do all of that? So you telling me my robot gonna be better than your robot? Or we just gonna have to find out? So we gonna meet in the middle of the road around noon? High noon? And duel it out with our robots? Huh? I can already see it now. You know me, man. I'm gonna have some fun with this. What? Put me a ring in the backyard, invite the neighbor over and have us our own little UFC robot match? What? Yeah. They're gonna have to put some laws down.
The family of missing University of Pittsburgh student Sudiksha Konaki fears she may have been abducted while on spring break in the Dominican Republic, despite local authorities suggesting she likely drowned. The 20-year-old pre-med student vanished early Thursday after heading to the beach with friends and some, quote, other guys they met at the resort. Her belongings, including her phone and wallet, were left behind, which her family says is highly unusual. Her father, Subarayudi Konaki, who fled to Punta Cana in aid of the search, believes it's unlikely she drowned, telling reporters, it's been 4 days. If she was in the water, she would likely have been strewn to shore. Her family has filed a criminal complaint demanding that authorities investigate all possibilities, including kidnapping. Security footage captured Konaki near the beach before she disappeared. Her friends reported her missing 12 hours later, around 4 p.m. Thursday, when she wasn't in her hotel room. Dominican authorities have conducted air and land searches, but so far, no trace of her has been found. The FBI, DEA, and Homeland Security investigations have joined the effort, along with officials from her home state of Virginia and the Indian Embassy. With no answers and growing suspicions of foul play, Konaki's family is pleading for an expanded investigation, hoping to bring their daughter home.
Yeah, I'm confused with this whole Wendy Williams situation. Like, is she okay? Is she not okay? When you looked in the window just then, did she not look fine to y'all? She looked fine to me. But looks can be deceiving. I'm well aware of that. But I don't know enough about the situation. Every time it came up, I ended up doing something else. So I haven't watched the documentary that people were talking about. All this type of stuff with Wendy Williams. You know what I mean? I've heard bits and pieces. And I just hear people saying the situation is crazy, it's weird. I think I even heard Charlamagne the God say that he didn't think anything was wrong with her and stuff like that. But it's constantly something, this whole thing. But looking at her in that window, she looked perfectly fine right then. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, this just in, John, if you're having issues on X today, perhaps you are at home. I certainly have been today. Apparently there is an outage, and Elon Musk now says that a foreign actor might be responsible for this. This is what he wrote. He says there still is a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources, either a large coordinated group and or a country is involved. So some serious allegations there from the owner of X. Musk will be on Fox Business later on this afternoon with Larry Kudlow, hopefully with an update on what is happening there. Okay, this just in.
Bro, they coming after Elon all kind of ways. I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen any type of huge cyber attacks for him yet. You know what I mean? Like anonymous or somebody getting involved. I'm surprised at that. You know, this being the first one that we've really heard about, that's surprising to me.
We're on our way to Grimsby in the UK. This is one of the closest places you can get on land to that naval disaster. What we know is around 10 a.m. local time, the Portuguese flagship Solong crashed into the American flagship, the Stena Immaculate. That ship was carrying jet fuel at the time, and this triggered multiple large explosions. The Port Authority says more than 13 people were brought on shore. A local politician says all the crew members of both ships have been accounted for, that they're safe, that only one person is in the hospital, which is pretty astonishing when you see the video of that billowing black smoke and can imagine the inferno that this created. The Coast Guard reacted quickly, sending ships out there, firefighting ships. Local ships also went into action trying to rescue people. There were helicopters and planes also involved. There's also concern that this crash could cause an environmental disaster because of the fuel on board the ship. But right now, authorities are trying to discover what could cause this disaster. We're on our way to...
Like, we need something else destroying the environment. We don't need nothing else. Now, the fact that everyone survived is what we're hearing. That's got to go down in history as possibly the first possibly ever situation like that does happen. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Don't take my stats and run with them and think they're law. They're not. I just be throwing stuff out there. But yeah, that's amazing to hear that everyone survived that with only one in the hospital. That's incredible. But man, something else to help destroy the environment when the earth is already pleading with us to take better care of the planet. Look at this. Look what we go and do.
Is the President of the United States bullying Canada?
Well, I don't know if it's called bullying. There's one rule I have. I never get personal with someone. Do I think his policies are backwards right now? 100%. He's created more turmoil than we've seen ever. Even more than the pandemic. The pandemic, the whole world was involved. Now he's just targeting country after country. And it's unfortunate. So let's sit down and get this deal done. And let's go back to having two great nations. See, Canadians look at Americans as part of the family. They've been part of the family for over 200 years. And let's continue that great relationship of working together and standing shoulder to shoulder in crisis.
Now, last I checked, you're a conservative.
Yes, I am.
You celebrated President Trump's victory in November.
I thought, I thought he'd do a great job. Man, was I wrong. And I'm first to admit I was wrong, even though I don't play a role in the U.S. Elections. But I thought, okay, someone that believes in cutting taxes like I do, looking for waste, reducing the size and cost of government. I thought that was good. And he was the president before. And I thought, okay, he's not going to go sideways. And boy, was I wrong.
I mean, there's been video of you saying you were 100% happy.
Yeah, that's right.
But then what happened?
Oh, then he stabbed us. That's it. That's the word. I hate to use it, but that's exactly what happened.
Seriously? You sat on him? You know what? Because the things that are going through my mind right now, sometimes you just don't need to say everything that's going through your mind. This is one of those times for me. So I'm going to let y'all say it, because a lot of times we're alike in our thinking. I'm going to let y'all say it in the comment section for me.
In 3 years of war, it's estimated 50,000 Ukrainians have lost a limb, perhaps many more. Andriy Solomon was an infantry company commander who lost both his legs to a Russian drone last year and is still practicing on new prosthetics. He told us he volunteered to fight the same day Russia invaded in 2022.
You've made an enormous sacrifice for your country. Was it worth it?
Yes.
Why?
Тому що я люблю свою країну.
To be honest, he told us, freedom is expensive.
President Trump says that he wants to end the war in Ukraine to stop Ukrainians dying. Do you believe him?
Я б хотів би.
I'd like to, but he reminds me of a showman. He told us his words rarely correlate with his actions. At the Superhuman Center in western Ukraine, most of their patients are soldiers who fought to defend their country and paid with their flesh and blood. The centre's partially funded by millions of dollars in private donations from the US and used to receive money from USAID until that was cut by President Trump.
My male brain is trying to wrap itself around this difficult research. It finds that the reason men, as they age, struggle with memory and cognitive issues more than women is the chromosome. Women have two X's.
Yes.
Men have an XY. That
Yes.
second X actually wakes up brain health after 65. So if it seems
I
like
believe it.
Grandpa is a little slower than Grandma, it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
It's genetics.
Yeah, my male brain is trying to wrap.
All right, ladies, slow down. Do not just run to the comment section and start bashing us and saying all this type of hurtful stuff. We get it. We get it. All right. This is y'all's moment. Shine. But don't try to take it out on us. You know what I mean? Don't try to get your shine off on us. No.
Canadians, from this side of the border anyway, we think of you as reasonable, rational,
Yes.
and above all, sane people.
Very polite, too.
Very polite, apologetic even, almost to a fault. Here's a Canadian named Mike Jack, though, who is very insane in his chosen line of work. He eats hot things for a living. And he recently ate 25 Carolina Reaper chili peppers in 4 minutes and 36 seconds. That is a record. If you're wondering, these Carolina Reapers, among the hottest peppers in the world, have a Scoville heat units measurement, which is that much times more than a jalapeno. So it is very, very, very spicy. Vlad, I know your first thought.
My first thought was,
do this?
Yeah,
Why?
There's no amount of Zantac and Malox that would allow my stomach the next day to not burn the entire house down.
Well, there's the front
Could
door
make
and
you
then
a
there's
little
the back
gassy,
door.
too.
More than that,
Which
Gail.
would be really great for your
I
colleagues.
would melt the toilet bowl.
Well, so he was asked about that, and he said, this is Mike Jack, proud Canadian. A lot of people say your butt must burn a lot after you did that challenge. I've actually never experienced burn butt before. It's a genetic mutation, he says. It's my superpower, I guess.
I would love Dr. LaPook to weigh in on this. He's never experienced, what does he call it?
Burn butt.
You heard it right the first time.
Canadians,
ain't no way, bro. How is his insides not burning out to his outsides? Ain't no way, fam. That's hot. That's too hot. And I like spicy food. I'm a spicy type dude. I like food like that. But no. That ain't no way, fam. I'd be crying on the toilet the next day. Oh, it burns. Oh, somebody spray something in there. It's hot.
Well, in another cringy video, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries threatens Tennessee Republican Andy Ogles for pushing Democrats to be stripped of their committee assignments after their shameful display during Trump's speech.
These people are malignant clowns. Andy Ogles is a fraud, a complete and total fraud. You aren't throwing anyone off of any committee in the House of Representatives. Don't make me expose you to folks who don't know you.
Well, in Democrats' attempt to be hip and cool, social media stars Congressman Eric Swalwell dropped this video and the F-bomb too.
What a f***ing week, huh? You know how weird this week was? I went to the State of the Union, and the president didn't even speak. He just sat up in the visitors gallery like a total weirdo and let his press secretary do all the talking. What a week.
Well, profanity seems to be the new rallying cry. Democrats are now cursing up a storm.
Somebody slap me and wake me the up, because I'm ready to get on with it.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk and his hackers don't know.
To think that Elon Musk or Donald Trump give a about our public schools.
It's total absolute
Trump.
I don't swear in public very well, but we have to Trump.
Wow, it sounded like Morse code there for a second with all those beeps. Jeremy, it seems to be going well, that postmortem.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they are having a hard time. And really what it is when you don't have a message and you have nothing positive to present to the American people, when you have no plan, no strategy, you just start to just think they're now just going off the reservation, that's, constantly swearing and just trying to howl at the moon to try to garner some type of, resistance to what Trump is doing because they have no message. And I think that's the problem right now, is that they are lost at sea. They have realized that the vocabulary that they've used for so many decades about, identity politics and, everything's about your race and oppression and victimization, they realize that whole narrative has failed, and they don't have the language to use anymore to actually persuade Americans. So now we're just seeing them throw anything at the wall that will stick. And as we can see, it's quite embarrassing for them.
Well, you say the victimization language has failed. Maybe Al Green did not catch that memo. Listen to him on his censure.
I had to sit in the back of the bus, the balcony of the movie, drink from a colored water fountain when the speaker decided that I would be removed. And then there was this motion, this resolution to censure me. It became obvious to me that I was not being treated as others were. Mm-hmm. And candidly speaking, it is invidious discrimination.
Okay, so Harris, it's invidious discrimination, except maybe it has to do with you were the only House member ever to disrupt a joint proceeding of Congress in that manner. And 10 of your colleagues in the Democratic Party voted to censure you.
I had Representative Gooden on last hour, and he was the person who took that protest card out of the woman's hand, the liberal lawmaker who was flashing the president with, disregard and whatnot as he was walking into the chamber. And he said, I voted on that censure. So he knew exactly what was going on in both those rooms, right? Both those occasions. And he said, well, what did this representative think he was going to get? I mean, this was beyond disrespect. And it fits into the category of why they're cussing at us. They're just out of ideas. And, some of these people did go to some of those Tony liberal organizational schools that we've been talking about, those Ivy Leagues. They've got expensive education, some of them. Why are they out of words? Oh my goodness, that's all they do is know words. I'm confounded by the fact that they've got a cuss, they really have a license on bad ideas at this point when it comes to policies. People didn't want to hear about all that stuff that they were coming with. Yeah, you can go use the same bathroom as me, and if you dress like me, you're allowed to go in. That doesn't make you a woman, but we know they can't define women. This is across the board. So the question is, who will separate out in the Democrat Party? You cannot be part of the stuff and be quality at the same time. You've got to separate out and be a quality individual. Who among you will stand?
Yes. Well, Van Jones had some sanguine advice for his party. Listen to this.
Look, man, we're screwed. I mean, we don't know. No, Democrats don't know what to do. This is a nightmare.
Somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have, Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. And then offending most people in the country, calling everybody sexist and racist and transphobic and every other name, and then say, please follow us. That's not a good strategy, folks. Defending a broken status quo and offending most of the country turns out is not as popular as my party thought it was going to be.
Carly is not wrong.
Yeah, no, he is not. And, between the election and the inauguration, there were a lot of reach across the aisle statements. I remember...
I'm starting to see more and more people, like, on the side I'm at, where we're not for either party. Because I agree with what Van Jones was saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've offended a lot of people. And both parties continue to do that, which has people looking at both of them like, I don't want to really be a part of this show. I don't. And it seems like that's what it's turned into, a show. You know? Like, even the Al Green statement. And I was for him standing up for people. For sure. Do that. But then you can't in turn say, okay, I felt like I was being removed for discrimination or not. No. You knew when you stood up, standing up for people, which a lot of people are okay with you doing, but you knew when you stood up and disrupted, that could potentially happen. That was a direct result of that, not for any other reason from what I saw. Now, if y'all saw something else, point me to it. I'll go look at it, come back, change what I said if I feel a different way. But from what I saw, you can't say that. But like I said, man, this has become a show by both parties, man, and it's ugly out here right now.
From Democrat Senator Tina Smith out of Minnesota, she said something like, this time around, I'm not going to jump on the crazy train and attack every single thing that Donald Trump does. So maybe she's not on that train, but there are a whole lot of Democrats that are. And when you swear repeatedly like that, that doesn't equal passion. It equals disrespect. And I think it devalues the job that the certain portion of the American people have elected you to do. And when Republicans were in the opposition party, they had a lot to run on. They had a lot to message on. The border, crime, inflation, because there were issues with the border, crime, and the economy. Democrats don't quite have that yet. So all they're doing is yelling. I do have to give one Democrat some credit.
There's still some things to argue about. The economy right now, I don't know if you've seen what shape it's in. It's not in a good shape. The border might be different, so they can't run on that. But yeah. And I can't tell you about crime because I haven't heard about it. So y'all can probably say that's down. But definitely they could run. If they focus their attention on that, then maybe they could rally the troops. The economy, the market, how the groceries, all this type of stuff. Focus your attention there and you'll rally the troops, I guarantee you.
Here, because over the weekend I listened to an episode of Gavin Newsom's podcast where he's talking to Republicans, and he interviewed Charlie Kirk, and I thought it was fantastic.
I watched that.
Yeah, he really had a very good, solid conversation with Charlie Kirk, and even asked for advice. How should Democrats message this and that? And it is clear that he is doing this to reach a broader group of Americans, clearly has the White House in his sights, but not to devalue or discredit what he's doing there. I mean, he's one Democrat that seems to be getting it right, talking to Republicans rather than cursing and yelling at them.
Emily, I do agree that it was very seductive to listen to him with Charlie Kirk. He's very good at kind of flipping the script. But he's the guy who called the emergency legislative session to oppose Trump. So I feel like there might be a sinister political motive here with his podcast.
It's clear. It's
The political motive,
Yes.
yeah. I'll say this. When I first heard Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries talk about malignant clowns, I actually wasn't looking at the screen when I heard that. And I thought that it was a Republican talking about those elected Democrat officials who refused to stand or clap for wins for America and who have been engaging in just swearing. So hilarious that he was actually it was one of them. I'll say this, that the issue with them is that they're falling flat on policy. That's why, in part, President Trump said, look, keep it up. You guys are going to become a vastly minority party if you start voting with the 10 on 90-10 issues. I paraphrase what he said. And they're flailing. I love what you said about howling at the moon, because without the talking points, It's the ones that are thoughtfully engaged and their actual thoughtful discourse are the ones that are unique, and the ones, to your point, that came out and said, I did clap, and that is something to champion. But the squeaky wheel is getting the grease. And this absolute erosion of decorum that we've seen is somehow spreading like wildfire, and the thoughtful ones are not. So their leadership needs to do a little bit more, I think, than telling them to vote against the clean CR. I think leadership needs to have a come to Jesus meeting with them about their behavior, because it's unacceptable, and they're going to see it at the next ballot box.
Yeah, and they did have a meeting Friday. It was called a come to Jesus meeting, and apparently they berated their members. So I don't know if it's working or when these were
Jesus was not there.
Not working.